Hi students, in the previous chapters we had studied how ionic bonds are formed. We had studied that when there's an atom A and when there's an atom B, and atom A wants to lose some electrons to attain inert gas configuration, and atom B wants to gain some electrons to attain inert gas configuration, ionic compounds are formed. A loses electrons and B gains the electrons lost, and ionic compounds are formed. Something interesting, however, happens when both the atoms involved want to gain electrons. Let's say atom A wants some electrons and atom B also wants some electrons. So, atom A does not want to donate electrons to atom B, and atom B does not want to donate electrons to atom A. In such cases, both the atoms share electrons. Understood? So if atom A wants 2 more electrons and atom B also wants 2 more electrons, they share 2 electrons. A shares its pair and B shares its pair, and they form a special kind of bond called the covalent bond. And that is what we're going to study about in this chapter. You see, carbon is an expert at forming covalent bonds. This chapter of ours relates to the bonding in carbon. And so we'll understand how carbon forms covalent bonds and which atoms carbon forms covalent bonds with. We'll also understand what a covalent bond is in the first place. So there we go. Bonding in carbon, the covalent bond. Now, first of all, before we study about the bonding in carbon, let's look at the substances around us which contain carbon. Carbon is literally everywhere. If you look around you, you'll see a piece of paper. Paper has carbon. You'll see your computer screen. The plastic material making the computer screen has carbon. The table, on which the computer is placed, that has carbon. Your books have carbon. Almost everything you see around you has carbon in it. You can even prove that carbon is present in, so many substances around you. To do that, you can simply take any substance near you and burn it. Carbon has the special property that when a carbon containing compound is burnt, carbon dioxide gas is evolved. So if you take a small piece of paper and if you burn that paper, carbon dioxide gas will be evolved. We know that carbon dioxide gas turns lime water milky. So you can burn a piece of paper and then you can pass the gas evolved through lime water. The lime water will turn milky. You can burn a rubber, for example. Clothes, everything evolves carbon dioxide gas on burning. So basically, so many substances around you have carbon, and you can prove that a substance has carbon if it evolves carbon dioxide gas on burning. Understood? So that's the basic of carbon compounds. Now, before we learn about how carbon forms bonds, we need to understand the electron configuration of carbon. How many electrons does carbon have in its valence shell? How many does it need to gain or lose? This is the electron configuration of carbon. As you may already know, the atomic number of carbon is 6. So it has 6 protons and 6 electrons. We know that the innermost shell, the first shell of an atom, can hold only 2 electrons. So therefore, 2 out of the 6 electrons are present in the first shell. The second shell has the remaining 4 electrons because carbon has 2 plus 4, 6 electrons. Now we know that to attain inert gas configuration, carbon must have 8 electrons in its valence shell. So basically carbon needs to gain 4 electrons in its valence shell. Isn't it? If it gains 4 electrons, it will have 8 electrons and it will attain inert gas configuration. Alternately, carbon can also lose 4 electrons. Isn't it? Then also it will attain the inert gas configuration of helium. The problem with carbon is that losing or gaining 4 electrons is very, very difficult. You see, sodium needs to just lose 1 electron to attain inert gas configuration. So it's very easy for it to lose 1 electron, isn't it? It's easy because when 1 electron is lost, there's just 1 proton more than the number of electrons in the atom. The imbalance in the atom is not that much. But if carbon gains 4 electrons or if it loses 4 electrons, the imbalance in the carbon atom is very high. That's because, say carbon gains 4 electrons, it will then have 4 electrons more compared to the number of protons. So there will be a charge imbalance inside carbon, isn't it? So the atom will become unstable. If carbon loses 4 electrons, again there'll be 4 protons more compared to the number of electrons, and there'll again be a charge imbalance. The protons will become more powerful, and maybe the electrons will get sucked into the protons, because of the charge imbalance. Therefore, carbon does something interesting. It shares its electrons. Carbon forms covalent compounds with different atoms by sharing these 4 electrons with different atoms. Understood? It forms covalent bonds. Let's understand how carbon forms covalent bonds. Now, before understanding how carbon forms covalent bonds, however, let's understand what a covalent bond is in the first place. Then we can study in detail, how carbon forms covalent bonds with different atoms. A bond between two atoms formed by the sharing of electrons present in their outermost shells is called a covalent bond. So no electrons are lost or gained in a covalent bond. Electrons are shared in a covalent bond. Understood? A covalent bond is formed by atoms which both want electrons. Take a look at the hydrogen molecule. The hydrogen molecule has covalent bonds in it. Here, this is the electron dot structure of the hydrogen molecule. You can clearly see that there's this hydrogen atom on the left and there's a hydrogen atom on the right. The hydrogen atom on the left has 1 electron and the hydrogen atom on the right has 1 electron. Now, both these hydrogen atoms want 1 electron to attain inert gas configuration, isn't it? If they gain 1 electron each, they will attain the inert gas configuration of helium, as they will have 2 electrons in their valence shell. Therefore, these hydrogen atoms share their 1 electron. You see, this hydrogen atom on the left shares its electron with the hydrogen atom on the right, and this hydrogen atom on the right shares its electron with the hydrogen atom on the left. Therefore, both the hydrogen atom, actually have 2 electrons in their valence shell, isn't it? After all, what does sharing mean? Sharing means that both the electrons are available to both the hydrogen atoms, isn't it? So therefore, the hydrogen molecule has a covalent bond. Of course, the valence shell of both the hydrogen atoms is now complete, isn't it? Therefore, this is the covalent bond between two hydrogen atoms. Now, when one pair of electrons is shared between two atoms, in that case, the bond between the two atoms is generally termed a single bond. Understood? So here, both these atoms are sharing one pair of electrons, isn't it? Therefore, the bond between two hydrogen atoms is an HH single bond. You must remember this term. Here's the equation, for the formation of the HH single bond. As you can see, H here has 1 electron in its valence shell. H here has 1 electron in its valence shell. Both of these hydrogen atoms combine to form HH or H bond H, that is the hydrogen molecule. Let's look at the chlorine molecule. You see, the atomic configuration of chlorine is 287. What that means is that the atomic number of chlorine is 17. The first valence shell of chlorine has 2 electrons, the second shell has 8 electrons, and the third shell has 7 electrons. So basically, chlorine needs 1 more electron to attain inert gas configuration. What happens is that 2 chlorine atoms, both of which need 1 electron to attain inert gas configuration, both of these chlorine atoms combine and they form a covalent bond. Here we go. This is the electron dot representation of the covalent bond between two chlorine atoms. Look at the chlorine atom on the left. It originally has 7 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. The chlorine atom on the right also has 7 electrons. Now what both these chlorine atoms do is that they share one of their electrons with the other chlorine atom. So this chlorine atom shares its 7th electron with the chlorine atom on the right. The chlorine atom on the right shares one of its electrons with the chlorine atom on the left. So therefore, both of the chlorine atoms share one pair of electrons. This one pair of electrons is available for both the chlorine atoms. Now you can see that after getting that extra electron, after sharing that extra electron from the chlorine atom on the right, the chlorine atom on the left has 8 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, because these 2 electrons are available for both the chlorine atoms. Similarly, the chlorine atom on the right also now has 8 electrons, as it has been sharing one extra electron from the chlorine atom on the left. Since one pair of electrons is being shared, therefore the bond between the two chlorine atoms is a Cl-Cl single bond. After all, one pair of electrons is being shared, isn't it? Here's the equation for the formation of the chlorine molecule. You can see, that these dots here represents the valence electrons of the chlorine atom. There are 7 valence electrons in one chlorine atom. There are 7 valence electrons in the second chlorine atom. And here's the chlorine molecule, depicted by the Cl-Cl single bond.